Streaming worldwide, this is the Gospel America Television Network. It's time for Real Talk with the Jenkins, featuring Lady MJ, Pastor Marcella Jenkins, and Dr. G, Dr. Gary Jenkins. And now, let's join Real Talk with the Jenkins. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Real Talk with the Jenkins. I'm Dr. G.
I'm Lady MJ. And we are the Jenkins.
And someone who's not a Jenkins, but a good friend of ours. She is the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of the Concho Valley, Lady Tiffany Parker. God bless you, Tiffany. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, talk to us about the Boys and Girls Club of the Concho Valley. We think we know about it, but I think there's a lot more that we don't know.
There's so much. I tell people often that we're well known, but not known well.
Wow.
Everyone's heard of us, but they have little to no knowledge of exactly what it is that we do.
Well, that's why you're here today. So hopefully we can tell our viewers who you are and what you do, and we'll get to know you better.
Thank you so much. Well, Boys and Girls Clubs here locally was founded in 1965. Mm-hmm. And Boys and Girls Clubs are designed to keep kids safe, to provide opportunities and exposure. Okay. Everything we do is divided into 5 core areas, and those are character and leadership development, education and career development, health and life skills, the arts, and sports, fitness, and recreation. So we do a lot of different things and fall under all of those areas. And the reason there's so many different core areas is to make certain that we're doing our part to develop well-rounded little humans.
I like the way you say that. Well-rounded little humans. What happens when they become big humans? You know?
They're amazing people that are going to go out to the community and do amazing things.
Okay,
yes,
cool.
Yes. So we talked before, and then you were saying you're not a daycare.
We are not a daycare. I often tell people I'm not a babysitter, and I've not babysat since I was about 12.
Wow.
I'm a youth development professional.
Okay.
And all of those that work for me are youth development professionals. And that goes from the top as a CEO, this is my role, down to our part-time program staff. We're all youth development professionals.
Well, speaking of CEO, you recently took over at the helm of the Boys and Girls Club. When was that, and tell us all about that? How did that happen?
Well, I actually got a phone call from somebody that asked if I would at least entertain an interview with the club here in St. Angelo. I've been here since January of 21, so about 3.5 years now. But I've been in the Boys and Girls Club movement for over 20 years. Wow. I started at a club in Bryan College Station as a volunteer.
Wow. And
worked up to CEO, so I held every role leading up to CEO.
Well,
wow.
All due respect, you don't look like you could be anywhere 20 years. But okay.
Well, I mean, I started when I was like 7.
7.
Yeah, okay. Yes.
So, all right. So, people hear about the Boys and Girls Club, and certainly, I know for a fact that you guys are doing a great job working with the youth in the area. Now, when you say Concho Valley, so you're not just specific to San Angelo, is that right?
That's correct. Just over a year ago, we went through a merger, and we merged with the Boys and Girls Clubs of Menard, and we changed our name from Boys and Girls Clubs of San Angelo to Boys and Girls Clubs of the Concho Valley to incorporate Menard in that. But what that did is allows us and opens up the possibility of going to other communities. Because the long-term goal is to go into other communities where kids that are underserved, that don't have something like the Boys and Girls Club to do, that we can go into those communities and provide programming.
So do you work with churches in the communities, or anybody, or is it just whoever first come, first serve kind of thing?
First come, first serve, and so our program is open to all youth. We serve kids ages 6 to 18.
Wow.
So any child between the ages of 6 to 18 can come to the Boys and Girls Club.
6 to 18.
6 to 18. We charge a membership of $40 for the school year. And that allows them to come to the club Monday through Friday from 3 to 6:30 every day during the school year. The days that the kids don't have school, so like the teacher development days, we're 8 to 5 on those days.
Oh, wow.
We're closed on any federal holiday, but during spring break, for instance, we're 8 to 5 for the week of spring break.
So do you serve lunch or breakfast or things like that?
During the school year, we serve a hot dinner every day.
Wow.
During the summer, we serve breakfast, lunch, and a snack every day.
Okay. So in the summer, what's the hours in the summer?
7:30 to 5:30.
Wow.
Long days for about 9 weeks. We're at the club, we're doing programming, we're keeping kids safe, but exposing them to things that they might not otherwise be exposed to.
When you say you're keeping kids safe, give me a for instance in more detail if you can.
A for instance is during the school year, the most dangerous hours in the child's life are 3 to 8 because they're not in school anymore, and oftentimes parents aren't home from work yet. So they're unsupervised during those hours. So when they're at the Boys and Girls Club, they're around a building full of caring adults that are doing responsible programming with them. So we're keeping them safe because if they're not at the club, if they're not home being supervised by parents or a relative or someone like that, what are they doing? What are they being exposed to? What are the dangers that they are potentially getting engaged in and involved with? So Boys and Girls Clubs are open during those dangerous hours to give them a safe space to be, to make certain that they're being monitored, number one, but also given the opportunity to do things that they aren't doing anywhere else.
Wow.
Now, like the 18-year-old, 16 to 18, say, what are some of the things they do at the Boys and Girls Club?
I would love to say we have, the building is busting with 16 to 18 year olds.
Okay.
That's the hardest group to get. And the reason it's the hardest group to get is because they're able to vote with their feet. They don't have to be anywhere they don't want to be. You know, their parents, they're old enough to stay home alone. So oftentimes they do. During the school year, they're engaged in other extracurricular activities. They're playing football and basketball and doing speech and debate and things like that, and so they aren't coming to the club. But when they are at the club, it's our goal to find things that they want to do, things that they want to be engaged in. And so our focus this summer, for instance, is workforce readiness. It's exposing them to career paths that they might not even consider. Very few kids are going to consider HVAC as a job, but they can make amazing money in HVAC. A lot of our kids, it's crazy because years ago they all thought they were going to be the next Michael Jordan or LeBron James. They think they're going to be professional basketball players, football players, baseball players. And we all know the statistics and the chances of that happening. But now they all think they're going to be influencers. They're all stuck to their phones. And they think they're going to be the next big thing.
TikTok or
exactly.
YouTube or something.
Exactly. And so our job as youth development professionals is to expose them to other potential careers. We'd love to think that all of our kids are going to go to college, but we know that everybody's not cut out for college. Everybody's not college material. And that's okay because there are other things that they could do. There are so many vocations that they could get. There are programs at Howard College here locally that they could go learn a trade and make amazing money. I had no clue how much you could make in HVAC. I knew that plumbers made good money, but I had never thought about how much someone that works on my air conditioning can make until I got that first bill. Somebody coming in and servicing my AC, then I realized that that's something we need to be exposing our kids to. So that's a focus.
Okay, well, we're going to come back in a moment because I want to know more about what you're doing, how many kids you have, and more about the programs that you have and how we in the community can support you. But we got to go to commercial break. And you're watching Real Talk with the Jenkins. I'm Dr. G.
I'm Lady MJ. And we are the Jenkins.
Real Talk with the Jenkins. We'll be right back after these messages. The definition of an expert is a person who has comprehensive knowledge, skill, and experience in a particular field. Michelangelo was an expert in sculpting and painting. But if you're looking for an expert in transmissions, then look no further than Gray's Transmissions. So if you find yourself in need of a new transmission, you need to make sure you have someone with expertise and experience.
We should know because we're the experts.
Need an oil change? Then Gentle Touch Fast Lube on Sherwood Way is where you need to be. We are a safety inspection station, checking all fluids and your air filter. We have major brands of oil, both synthetic and regular. Here's what customers are saying about Gentle Touch Fast Lube.
Fast Lube gets me in and out. Fantastic job, fantastic crew. They get me in and out.
Celebrating our 29th anniversary, fast, friendly, and family-owned Gentle Touch Fast Lube. And now, back to Real Talk with the Jenkins.
We're back and you're watching Real Talk with the Jenkins. I'm Dr. G.
I'm Lady MJ. And we are the Jenkins.
And our special guest is the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of the Concho Valley, Tiffany Parker. So God bless you, Tiffany, and we appreciate you being with us. Now, I understand that you've got a lot of kids out there. You want to?
Yeah. So yes. So with the Boys and Girls Club, how many children do you have at this time?
Currently, we have between the 3 sites. Well, let me back up. Between 2 sites that are open for this summer, we're serving just under 180 kids. So we will go up to 200.
Wow.
That's the max. We'll max out at 200 this summer.
So what's the 2 sites are open during right now?
We're functioning programs for San Angelo at Southside. We've closed the North Side for the summer, and we're serving all the kids at the Southside unit, and then we have our unit Menard.
Okay.
Okay. When you say South Side, that's the one on near Bryant.
That's the one that's on South Bryant or off South Bryant on Ben Ficklin.
Okay.
Down near Rio Concho and the Southside Rec.
Oh, okay.
So that facility.
So when you merged with Menard and you changed your name from San Angelo Boys and Girls Club to the Boys and Girls Club of the Concho Valley, what was that transition like? How did that happen?
Well, actually, Boys and Girls Clubs of America reached out to the local club and asked if we would entertain a management agreement. And so they'd had some transitions going on in Menard, and so they asked our organization in San Angelo to oversee all operations in Menard. And so we entered in this management agreement for 6 months. And the purpose of a management agreement is to kind of court each other, to kind of date to see if it would be a good mix or a good merge. And so we went in and we went through all of their programs and all of their policies and procedures and all of their books to make certain, number one, that they were in compliance with the national office, but to make certain that they would be a good fit. And so we brought all of their programs and processes up to speed. And after about 6 months, both boards voted and agreed that it would be in the best interest of the Menard organization to enter in a merger with us.
So what happened to the Menard board? And did they just you all just merged together, or did somebody get?
Well, it's kind of harsh. What we did is we took 2 of their board members and placed them on the corporate board in San Angelo. And the others, we formed an advisory council because we felt that it's important to have representation and a voice to speak for the Menard Club, because we can't make decisions in San Angelo for what happens in Menard because we don't live there. And so we have representatives there that have that, or the council, and then they keep the primary board, the corporate board, in tune with what's happening down there.
So how many children in Menard?
So in Menard, we have just under 50.
Okay.
So the Menard Club is a smaller club, and we'll max out at 50. We'll never take more than 50 at that site. It's a smaller unit, but they do some amazing programs down there. They do some great things. The things that we do in San Angelo, they do in Menard. We try to keep it very consistent and provide the same resources to all 3 sites, because we want there to be some continuity.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, it's a big difference between San Angelo and Menard, and how do you balance the equality of the programs that you have between both San Angelo and Menard? And you kind of almost already answered that.
Yeah, so we make certain that they're getting the same opportunities that they're getting in San Angelo. They may not have access to all of the field trips the same time that they have in San Angelo, but they're doing very similar things when it comes to the field trips. But as far as the programs go, they're doing the same things. And so we're serving them breakfast and lunch every day. They have people coming in and doing extracurricular type activities with the kids. The curriculum that Boys and Girls Clubs of America provides to the local clubs like ours, they're doing those same programs. And so we want to make certain that the kids in Menard have the same opportunities that the kids in the big city of San Angelo have.
Okay. What's some of the projects that you guys do?
I'm glad you asked. So during the summer, we have a lot more flexibility because we have them all day long. So we're able to do a lot more. There's a program that Boys and Girls Clubs offers called Smart Moves. And this curriculum teaches resistance skills to alcohol, tobacco, illegal drugs, and premature sexual activity. And that curriculum is designed for our members as young as 6 all the way up. The material when they're 6 to 8 years old is very, very vanilla, very basic, surface level stuff, but it's an introduction to risky types of behaviors. And the goal of that program is to develop some kids that are so cocky that they think they're too good to engage in those types of behaviors. I'm too good for drugs, I'm too good to engage in those behaviors, but to take it a step further to give them the tools and the confidence to tell their friends that they're too good for it also. It's one thing to walk away from it yourself, but it's a whole other thing to get your friends to walk away with you. So we're able to do programs like that during the summer.
So what's the biggest challenge dealing with a 16 or 17-year-old versus a 7-year-old? Big difference. So what is your methodology in bringing the older kids into compliance with your programs, and how does that work?
The older kids, the older kids are tough, not the toughest. They're tough. But if we're doing things that they enjoy doing, we're doing things that keep them engaged, then it's easy. The hard part is making certain we have the right person in place to do those things. You have to have the exact right personality to work with that group of kids, because teens, again, they can vote with their feet. If they don't like somebody or they don't like something, they won't come back. And so you have to make certain that you have the exact right person working with that group to make sure that they're doing things that they enjoy doing, and that they're able to build that rapport. They're not their friends. However, they are closer to them in age than someone like myself, for instance. I work well with all kids, with those teenagers. But I would tell you though,
I think that's your challenge.
That middle school group is the hardest though.
Really?
Because the teenagers, they understand, that there's going to be some rules, there's going to be some guidance and things like that, and they want to know about opportunities that they have available to them. The little kids, they're going to do whatever you ask them to do, for the most part. Every once in a while you get one. But for the most part, those little ones are going to do whatever you ask them to. That middle school group, they think they're too old, they don't need that extra guidance, but they're not old enough to make good and qualified decisions. And so they're tough because they think they know it all.
They have arrived.
They have arrived, and so they're a tricky group. But really, to answer your question, is really just coming up with things that they enjoy doing, keeping the program innovative and cutting edge, and always providing something new, the latest and the greatest, and being in tune with what teenagers like to do.
Okay, well, let's talk about that in a moment. We're going to go back to a commercial break, and you're watching Real Talk with the Jenkins. I'm Dr. G.
I'm Lady MJ, and we are the Jenkins.
Real Talk with the Jenkins. We'll be right back after these messages. The definition of an expert is a person who has comprehensive knowledge, skill, and experience in a particular field. Michelangelo was an expert in sculpting and painting. But if you're looking for an expert in transmissions, then look no further than Gray's Transmissions. So if you find yourself in need of a new transmission, you need to make sure you have someone with expertise and experience.
We should now one expert.
Need an oil change? Then Gentle Touch Fast Lube on Sherwood Way is where you need to be. We are Safety Inspection Station, checking all fluids and your air filter. We have major brands of oil, both synthetic and regular. Here's what customers are saying about Gentle Touch Fast Lube.
Fast Lube gets me in and out. Fantastic job, fantastic crew. They get me in and out.
Celebrating our 29th anniversary, fast, friendly, and family-owned Gentle Touch Fast Lube. And now, back to Real Talk with the Jenkins.
We're back, and you're watching Real Talk with the Jenkins. I'm Dr. G.
I'm Lady MJ, and we are the Jenkins.
And our special guest is the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of the Concho Valley, Tiffany Parker. And we're going to ask Tiffany a very difficult question. She says some of the kids, they want to challenge you. Well, what do you do with a child who is very challenging and just don't want to conform to the program?
Well, I talk to my team about this a lot, and I joke and I say, we'll get them in line, but we have to remember that everyone has a story, and we have to meet them where they are, and remember that we don't know everything that they're going through. They might come in and be a knucklehead, but we don't know we don't know if they ate well the night before. We don't know if they slept. We don't know where they slept. We don't know what that child is going through. So the first thing is have to take a step back after we calm down.
Because I was about to say, whoa, slow your roll for a minute.
After you take a step,
to calm down.
Sometimes you take a beat and count to 10, whatever you got to do. Once you calm down from dealing with the kid that's out of control, is you ask some questions. What's going on with you? Why do you think you're acting that way? When we have a better idea of the things that they're experiencing, we're able to meet them where they are and address those issues. Most often, they're going to share that, I'm tired, I need a nap, or I'm hungry, or, or, I'm just upset because my mom and dad had an argument last night. And so we have to show some grace when we're dealing with those kids. But then there are going to be some that just, for whatever reason, just don't want to get right. And so, we do suspensions. And as a very, very last resort, we've had to do expulsions. Because at the end of the day, we're responsible for all of the kids in the building. And if one child's behavior is going to take too much attention away from the masses to deal with that one, that's not creating a safe environment for the other kids. And so we may have to remove them from our program. But that's a last resort because we want those kids to be at the club because we know that they need the programs that we offer.
But how often does it get to that point where you either suspend?
Very seldom. Suspensions might happen. There might be, an overnight suspension. It might be your mom had to come pick you up a little early today, and you can come back tomorrow morning. Let's try again. But there may be your mom needs to pick you up early today, and we'll see you in 2 days. It kind of depends on the severity and how frequently. That doesn't happen often. Expulsion happens even less.
She's a lot nicer than me.
Well,
I'd be like, I have to go. I'm going to get your mama before I choke you.
Well, you know what? And I tell my staff all the time. I said, come. I said, go take a lap around the gym. Go take some deep breaths. I said, I might teach some meditation and some breathing techniques. Because they'll test you.
Oh yeah.
They will test you. And so it's hard. This is not. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's very rewarding. But it's also hard work. Because you're working with other people's children and you're taking on whatever issues and challenges that child is facing. You're left to deal with it all day long. And so it is tough. And there are days when you want to shake them. You want to shake them, but we don't. I sit with them and have a conversation. And oftentimes it's really just asking them, how could you have handled that different? And it seems very cliche and it seems really easy, but that's really what it is.
Yes, we were dealing with some... what is CPS? Yeah, CPS.
Yeah, we did with families involved with CPS. We dealt with kids that were unruly.
But I wanted to tell her the story that one time I had the little girl. She was staying with us for 2 weeks, and I would drop her off at school, and then she would go to the YMCA, and then I'd pick her up from the YMCA. This one particular day, for whatever reason, she didn't want to go to the Y. She wanted to go home. So she called me at work and said, come and get her. I said, I'm working. I can't come and get you right now. Plus, I'll be off in a few minutes and, not long. Well, why can't you just come and get me and take me home and you can go back to work? Girl, by the time I come and get you, take you back to, take you home, go back to work, it'll be time for me to get off.
Right.
So she said, okay, this is what I'm going to tell you. When you get off from work, you make sure you come directly and get me. And at that point, I was at work, and I was like, little girl, little girl, little girl. Woo!
Right. Who exactly do you think you're talking to?
I had to take a deep.
I've had those moments. I've been doing this work well over 20 years, and so I've had some kids that have really challenged me and pushed some buttons, and I have to take a moment and go in my office and close the door and ask the Lord why He put this on me today. Clearly, you think I'm stronger than I really am, but I appreciate your faith in me. We're gonna work it out, and we do.
Yeah.
Wow. So, when you take the kids out on field trips, where do you go? What do you do for field trips?
That can vary. So this summer, during the summer we go swimming. That's a huge draw. So that we go swimming, but we have a book club. And so we have a group of 9 to 11-year-olds. Well, actually, it was supposed to be 9 to 11. It ended up being 11 to 14-year-olds. They're in this book club. And so we utilize the Dunbar Library.
Oh, okay.
And so they're learning about the history of the Dunbar Library.
Okay.
So we utilize Dunbar, and we go, and weekly they get a new book. Now, we don't sit and read the whole book as a group. We sit and, we may go through the book, and what I like to do is identify books that have subject matter that these kids can relate to. Or things I just want to expose them to. And so we'll go ahead and read some things to make certain we're covering those topics. So an example of one of those, we read Middle School, The Worst Years of My Life. And there's a section in that book that talks about domestic violence. And unfortunately, a lot of kids of ours have witnessed domestic violence, and some have been victims of domestic violence. So we skip to that section and we read through that, and I'm kind of watching the faces to see reactions. And, the question is asked, what would you do if you were in that situation? Or what would you do if you had a friend that was in that situation? So the goal is to talk to them about it and give them some tools, help them to learn empathy in helping their friends and deal with those things, but also to be able to express those things to a trusted adult. They may not want to tell us all their business, but they may want to say, I'm not having a good day because of X, Y, Z. So those types of books we read.
Well, I can't believe the time is flying the way it is, but I'm sure there's a lot more. But before we leave, is there any information that we can give out to our viewers? Anyone who's interested in working with the Boys and Girls Club of the Concho Valley, how do they get in touch with you and how do they reach you?
There's never enough volunteers, and so there are always volunteer opportunities, and we encourage volunteers to come in and share the things that they enjoy doing. Everyone has a passion, everyone has special gifts. We want them to come in and share those gifts with our kids, expose them to things that they might not otherwise be exposed to. They can visit our website, and that's bgcconchovalley.org. They can call the club. Our administrative number is 325-655-8343. And just ask for me, and we can go through what that process looks like.
Okay, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us, and we really appreciate you being here on Real Talk with the Jenkins.
Thanks for the opportunity.
And we want to thank you, our viewers and our sponsors, for sticking and staying with us. You're watching Real Talk with the Jenkins. I'm Dr. G.
I'm Lady MJ, and we are the Jenkins.
Hello, I'm Gary Jenkins, president of the Gospel America Television Network. We're working hard to provide streaming service to pastors worldwide to share the good news of Jesus Christ with people in every nation. And here's one of our broadcast partners to tell you more about us.
I'm Pastor Pope of Galilee Missionary Baptist Church, and we as a church have had the pleasure of being affiliated with Gospel America Network for the last 2 years. And I'll tell you that it is wonderful to know that we are able to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ to a worldwide audience. Not so that we can lift up our name, but that we can lift up the name of Jesus. So I have to tell you that for us, being with Gospel America Network is something that we would not trade for the world. We are so thankful that God has blessed us with this particular opportunity. And we look forward to continuing our relationship with Gospel America.
If you'd like to know more about broadcasting on the Gospel America Television Network, give us a call at 203-410-6053. And you can email us at gospelamericachannel@gmail.com. Thank you so much, and we're so grateful to Pastor John Pope and all of the folks at the Galilee Missionary Baptist Church in San Angelo.
Download our app from the App Store or from Google Play and watch us on your tablet or smartphone 24 hours a day.
Streaming worldwide, this is the Gospel America Television Network.